Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Miss.
Can we start?
Afternoon, Miss.
Because already we are late.
Yes, Miss.
Okay. Did you check the assignment questions? Do you have any doubt?
So far, I don't have Miss.
Okay. So I hope the assignment questions will be like more related to today's topic. So it will be more easy for you. Okay. So rather than read the question, then you read the guidelines. So we will be giving marks according to the guidelines. Is that clear? So you see to that all the topics that is included in the guideline is there in the assignment, because I'm not going to read completely your answers, but it doesn't mean that you can write whatever you want. But like we give marks according to the rubrics. So you check the rubrics before writing your assignment. Is that clear? So now we will go into the topic. So far we have seen like whatever topic we have seen is more related to pregnancy. That is, like we have seen like what are the changes that will be taking place in a women during pregnancy, and because of those changes, what are the common problems they will be encountering, and how as a physiotherapist we will be able to treat them. So that's what like we have seen in the previous classes. So today we will be seeing some of the common problems that will be affecting women. So that means specifically, since being a women, they will have certain problems, and how as a PT we will be able to treat them. Is that clear? So this is again like it is related to the hormones only. Because of the hormonal changes and because of the hormones only, they are affected with this particular problems. Is that clear? Okay. So gynecology, if you see like women's health, we will be having two parts. One is obstetrics, another thing is gynecology. So obstetrics means related to reproduction, or related to the problem related to pregnancy and other things. Okay, gynecology means the study of disease that is specifically affecting women. Okay, so in women's health, we have two aspects. One is obstetrics and gynecology. So obstetrics means it is a study of pregnancy and related to the pregnancy. So gynecology means it is the study of diseases that are specifically affecting women. So this is again, sometimes it will be very simple, sometimes it will be life threatening. Okay, so this why we want to know about this abstract gynecology means most of the disease that is affecting women will be very silent, and it will be progressing silently. So suddenly we will know it at the end, but at the end of the time we may not be able to treat them, or we may not be able to cure them. Uh, so, uh, like we need to be very careful. One So we need to be very careful. So whenever we have time, we need to keep awareness over that. So maybe related to cancer or related to prolapse or anything. So we need to very much like whenever we get time, or whenever we meet people related to that particular risk category, we are supposed to give them the awareness. Okay, so that is about the gynecology. So we will see certain problems which are very common in this class. So first thing is cancer. So cancer is, it is nothing but it is a abnormal growth, or like normally the tissue will undergo changes. So slowly it will undergo maturation, or slowly it will enlarge in the size. But some tissues, what will happen, it will undergo a abnormal change or abnormal growth. So that is called as cancer. Okay, so cancer is nothing but normal cell growth, but sometimes what will happen, suddenly it will be uh, growing very much abnormally. 1 minute. A particular tissue which is undergoing a normal changes suddenly will grow abnormally and it is called as cancer. So every woman in her life, she should be aware of this particular problem. So because she is the one who is going to see her body daily, so she has to have the awareness, and she has to know what is screening and other thing, so that if she finds a smaller change itself, she need to go and check with a particular maybe she has to go and check with the physician, or she has to go and check with any doctors. Okay, so this cancer, if you see, there are many types of cancer, maybe lung cancer, abdomen cancer, or intestine cancer, or rectal cancer, all like many types of cancers are there. Even we have skin cancer, blood cancer, and another thing. But we have specific cancer that is affecting or very common in women, that is breast cancer and cervical cancer. So cervix is the region that is closing the uterus. Okay, so cancer of that particular region is called cervical cancer. So these are the most common cancer that is affecting women compared to other. So that's why we are going in little bit in detail about this particular cancer. So main thing we want to give them is awareness. Especially we can give them awareness regarding breast cancer, because cervical cancer being a part inside the body, they will not be able to observe the changes. They will be able to observe the changes in case if they have any abnormal discharge, or if they are having any smell in the smell, or if they have any other sudden changes like bleeding or spotting, then only they will know about the cervical part. Otherwise, since it is inside, the women will not be aware. But breast being external organ, they will be able to note down the changes immediately. So that's why we emphasize more on breast cancer. Other than that, regarding the cervical cancer, especially Malaysia being a country which has more populated more cancer population people, they are gynecologists are more aware of that, and if the women is more than 40, definitely they will be undergoing a pap smear test, and routinely they will be emphasizing the people to go for pap smear test, so that they can rule out the cervical cancer at the initial stage. So, breast cancer, since it is an external part, we can give them the awareness. So, we have nearly four stages of creating awareness. So, first is observing any changes. So, the women have to stand in front of the mirror, and she has to observe for any changes. Okay, so changes in sense, first she has to look for the size of the breast. If is there any change in the size of the breast, sometimes one breast will be little bigger compared to the other, that which is normal. But if there is an obvious difference, if they find any sudden difference, then they have to go and check their doctor. So first is like regarding the size of the breast, then regarding the shape of the breast, whether there is any shape, and size of the nipple, whether there is any change in the nipple position, shape of the nipple, whether there is any discharge from the nipple. All these things and all they have to see, and they have to see the skin texture, the color, if there is any rashes, or if there is any pain over the any part of the breast, or if they find out any pimple kind of a growth, or all these things will come under observation. So first thing, they have to stand in front of the mirror, they have to keep both the hands on the waist, and they have to observe the part. So what is the difference? So when they do this routinely, then they will be able to identify the changes immediately once it occurs. So this is the first. Second thing is they can keep their hand and they can press down the chest muscles and see is there any lump or is there is any change or pain. So keep the hands and see whether there is any lump formation or anything. Then keep the hands over the head, then observe for any changes. So when they keep the hand down, then the muscles will not be tensed, so the muscles will be slugging down. So they have to see what is the changes. Then keep the hands over the waist and see whether there is any changes. Then keep the hands over the head and see any changes. So all these positions, the shape of the breast will change and they will be able to see the changes in the different parts. Okay, so that is the first thing. Then they have to palpate. So when they are palpating, they have to use three fingers. Okay, so they have to use three fingers like this and they have to palpate the muscle in a circular form from top to bottom, from right to left. Okay, so they have to palpate from one end to the other end, from top to bottom, from the and the lateral side. So they have to do it a circular movement and find out there is any change or lump or any fibroid or any pain or anything. So they have to use the finger pads and they have to do this. At the end, lastly, they have to press over the nipple and they have to find out whether they have any discharge or anything. So if they have any discharge, what is the coloration of the discharge, whether it is a painful, whether it is foul smelling, all those things they have to check. So awareness is two things they have to do. One is observe, then palpate. So observe, they have to observe by hands on the side, hands over the hip and hands above the head. Then palpate, they have to palpate throughout the muscle. They have to palpate from lateral to medial, medial to lateral, then anterior to posterior, posterior to anterior. So they have to do it in a circular motion with using all the finger pads, especially three finger pads they can use, and they can press in a comfortable pressure and they have to find out is there any change. So when they are doing, they should not have any pain, they should not have any color changes in the coloration of the skin, there should not be any discharge and they should not have any lump or fibroid. Okay, so this is the first thing. So this is how you need to create the awareness. So every woman who have crossed above 40 years must do this thing regularly at their home. Maybe once in a week or once in a month they are supposed to do it. So after 40, especially who are nullipara. Nullipara means women who don't have any children, women who take a lot of hormonal tablets, women who has PCOD, women who are taking a lot of medications for fertility treatment, women who are not married, all these women are more prone for this kind of cancer, so they have to undergo the checking. So once they have any other problem, then the next is they have to go and meet their doctors. So nowadays it is not like previous days. The previously our father and mother will visit the hospital if they have any problem, or if the problem is very severe, then only they will visit the doctors. But now, like we go to a frequent health checkup, we do frequent health checkup because we are more aware towards our physical fitness. So the first thing is we need to create awareness. Second thing is they have to undergo physical checkups. So if they have crossed more than 40 or 45, definitely at least yearly once they have to undergo this physical examination. So during the physical examination, the doctors will do a blood pressure monitoring. They will be doing this breast examination. Other than that, they will be checking the perineum, vagina, and cervix. They will check for any signs of infection, or they check for any prolapse or anything, or incontinence. Okay, so these are the routine checkup the doctors will be doing. So then once they have complete this, then if they want to go for the second level, then they will be checking the second one. So the second level of checking is the cervical cytology. So cervical cytology is nothing but with the help of a like so cervical cytology is nothing but if they can just rule out if the women are more common to cancer, or the women fall into the risk category of cancer. So risk category of cancer is, one is if they have any genetical issue, or any genetically if they are having a risk of cancer, then definitely they will be falling under the cancer category. So those people and all will undergo this kind of checking. That is nothing but a cervical smear, and they will do culture, and they will investigate whether there is any abnormal growth or any other issue. Okay, this is first thing. Second thing is they might undergo a bimanual pelvic examination. So this is to examine the pelvic floor muscle strength. So this examination will give you a detail of what is the muscle power of the pelvic muscle. So this will give you answer in case if they have any incontinence problem. Then they will be undergoing a routine urine test for checking the infection, checking the glucose level and other thing. Then they will be having a discussion about their sexual life. So here people, like women who are having multiple sexual partners, women who are having more interested with many partners and all, will have more detailed discussion because they are more prone for this kind of cancer, especially cervical cancer. So they have to be given more awareness, and they have to be examined separately. Exactly. So that is for, yeah, that is for the cervical. Then we have one more test that is called as colposcopy. So this is a medical examination in which the cervical will be magnified into many size, and in the magnified picture they will be checking what are the, they will be viewing the cervix, the tissues of the vagina, the vulva, the perineum, and all those things. Okay, so this is nothing but you need to make the women to be in crook lying. In crook lying, they will be using this microscope, and they will be examining all the parts. And this will show them a magnified vision, so that if they have any abnormality in the tissue color or tissue texture or tissue, is there any bulge or anything, then they will be undergoing further examination. Okay, so this is the routine checkup, which we need to emphasize, or we need to give education to a women. So if you meet any women who are more than 40 years, then you need to give the awareness regarding this, and you have to emphasize them to at least go and meet their physician to undergo all this examination, which is very very important. Exactly. Yeah. So now we will see what are the common disorders. So common disorders of women, if you see, we can categorize them into two. One is infection, another one is prolapse. Sorry, we can categorize them into three problems. One is infection, then they may have some growth, or they may have any prolapse. Okay, so prolapse means it is nothing but from they are just descending down from the particular position. Okay, so only three common problems will be there in the gynecology. One is infection, one is prolapse, and one is any growth or any cyst. Okay, so first we will see about the infection. So being an infection, definitely we have very very lesser role, like because in infection if you use any of the physio, then they may spread. So we have very less role in infection case. So the first is infection of the vulva is called as vulvitis. I hope everybody knows what is vulva. So this is vulva. Okay, so the complete area is called as perineum. then this area is called as vulva. Okay, so if there is any infection to this vulva, then we call it as vulvitis. So this is like from vulva, from if they have vulvitis, then they have more chance for infecting the other area. So other area means from vulva it may go into vagina, it may go into urethra, or it may go into rectum. So like that it may spread. So that's why vulvitis is very like it's also a serious condition. Okay, then the reason for this vulvitis can be wearing a very tight shorts, maybe a nylon material. In case if they are in countries like us, where we have more humidity and more higher temperature, then if they are wearing a nylon dress, then they have more chance of this kind of things. Okay, so if they have a habit of wearing a very tight trousers, then you need to stress them that they have to remove it, and they have to leave it little bit open so that they get a good air circulation over the particular area. Okay, so if they have an increased sexual freedom, then also there is more chance for this vulvitis. So if they have a multiple sexual partner, then they have more chance for this. Why? Because the infection will be spreading from a male partner, so that sometimes when the female organ is not that much of protective, normally the vulva will be having a secretion, and this secretion will be killing all the bacteria or viruses. But still, if it is not able to manage, then they will be getting the infection. Okay, so next is like they may have this pruritus vulvae, where like some part of the perineum will be affected. So this is also more common. So some of the common problems, or like skin problems the women will have, like women will have is this pruritus vulva, and the reason behind them is this kind of uh, this lichen planus, lichen sclerosis, psoriasis, all these are some of the problems. So in case if they have incontinence, so because of this incontinence, they may have, they will be wearing a inner garment, wet inner garment. So this wet inner garment will lead to lot of growth in the area, and it may affect the healthiness of the area. Is that clear? So that is also another reason. Then other infections are like whenever they have infection in the vagina, it is called as vaginitis. Whenever the infection reaches the cervix, then it is called as cervicitis. Whenever the infection is reaching the uterus, it is called as endometritis. Whenever the infection is reaching the fallopian tube, it is we can call it as salpingitis. So these are the infection. In case if the infection is not prevented at the at the vulvar level, then the infection will go higher up. Is that clear? But in the vulva, we have certain discharges that will be killing the bacteria. But in case if that particular is not able to protect, then the infection will go higher. And for all these infection things, as a PT, we don't have much of role. Then we call it as, then another infection problem is called as pelvic inflammatory disease. So this, sorry. So this pelvic inflammatory disease means a combination of infection. So more than 2-3 areas, if it is infected, then we call it as pelvic inflammatory disease. So this is more commonly will occur at ectopic pregnancy. So when they have ectopic pregnancy, then they will be going inside the uterus, and they will be cleaning the area. So this will sometimes may infect those infect, and you may have few of the parts infected. So, and that is called as pelvic inflammatory disease. So frequently two will be the main causes, that is gonorrhea and mycoplasma heminesis. These are the frequently affected, these are the frequently causatives. Then for this they can go for a broad spectrum antimicrobials, which will be helping them to give a relief, and which will be able to help them to solve the issue. But sometimes if the infection are uncontrollable, then we need to go for removal of the uterus also. So here only you need to see, like a simple problem will lead to a bigger issue, and finally they will be undergoing a surgical removal. Okay, so that's why we need to be very careful. So at the initial stage itself, if we are able to solve the issue, then it will not go further, or it will not be spread to the other areas. Okay, so sometimes the people may die also because of this problem. So as a PT, our role, we have a role in this pelvic inflammatory disease at the chronic phase. We don't, at the acute phase, we don't have much of role. Only in the chronic stage, we will be able to treat them. So for treating, you can use shortwave diathermy. So that is a very effective one. In shortwave diathermy also, you can use the pulse wave shortwave diathermy. We have a smaller disc also to treat all these parts. So you can use the disc and you will be able to treat this particular person. Okay, so then if they have more severe pain, then you can go for TENS and ultrasound. Sorry, TENS and IFT. Is that clear? So we in the pelvic inflammatory disease, we don't have we don't treat them at the initial phase, but we will be able to treat them at the chronic phase. Okay, so that is about infection. Next is regarding the cyst. So cyst means, so here we have two types of thing. One is growth, another one is any fluid filled sac. So more commonly, women will have a cyst in the ovaries compared to other organs. Okay, the cysts are nothing but a pathological fluid filled sac that will be having a wall. Okay, so the cyst may be a clear, will be having a clear fluid without any smell. Okay, so that is also one kind of cyst. So this is mainly, it will be like acquired or it will be congenital. So we may have acquired cyst or we may have a congenital cyst. Okay, so when it is congenital cyst, then it means from the birth they may have this chance of, they may have the cyst. Acquired cyst means like ongoing, they may have this cyst. So ongoing in sense like maybe because of infection or because of some other reason, hormonal imbalance and other thing, they may have this cyst. So most of the time the cyst will be present in the ovaries or in any of the other parts of the reproductive system. So next is growth. So this growth can be a fibroid, especially this is a fibroid. So the fibroid means like in the uterus we will be having three muscle layers. One is endometrium, perimetrium and myometrium. So in myometrium, if they have the growth, then it is called as fibroid. So the muscles will become little thicker and it will become like a growth, and it will be keep growing in the uterus wall. So this will be compressing or it will be so much painful because uterus is already a smaller organ. So if you make a fist of your breast, then that will be the size of your uterus. So you can just imagine. So it will be a smaller organ. So if the fibroids are formed, then this will be compressing the uterus, or this will be uh, compromising the space of the uterus. Okay, and this will lead to pain, and this will be like sometimes it will lead to very very severe pain that you need to undergo surgery and remove the cyst. So in growth, we have two types of growth. One is benign growth, another one is malignant growth. Benign growth means a small part will undergo a growth. It won't spread. It will be like a small tumor or small growth of the tissue, and it will be remaining to one particular area. It will not be spreading to other area. But in case of malignant tumor, this will be spreading to other areas. Slowly it will be spreading, and it will be going into, it will be going in the pathway of the vascularity, or it will be going in the pathway of the embryonic level. Okay, so it will be spreading throughout the pathway. So that is your malignant tumor. So malignant tumor is very dangerous, and you need to undergo surgery. Sometimes you need to undergo radiotherapy, chemotherapy, and sometimes if you are finding this kind of tumor at the very last stage, then you need to undergo a surgery, or sometimes the sometimes the person may die also. Is that clear? So that is about cyst. Then another main problem the women will be having is called as endometriosis. So endometriosis means, if you see, the endometrial layer will be formed regularly, or it will be becoming bigger regularly, and at one day it will be shredding out, and that will shredding out is called as your menstrual cycle or menstrual flow. Okay, so in case this endometrial muscle, instead of growing inside the uterus, if it is growing outside, then we call this as endometriosis. And if it is present in the ovaries, peritoneum, uterine ligament, or any other region, then it will be growing, and it will be compromising the other body part. The uterus have to will not be able to increase in size. The uterus will be shrinking, and all those things will happen. Is that clear? So that endometrium, when it is growing inside the uterus, then it is not at all an issue. At the end of the month, or at every 28 to 30 days, it will undergo shedding, and it will be coming out. But in case if it is present outside the uterus, then it is causing some problem. Okay, so there is more risk of female having an early menarche. That means, like, people who undergo puberty at the very early stage or very early age are more prone for this kind of problem. Is that clear? So this is endometriosis. So as a PT, we don't have much role in this. So according to the size of the cyst, according to the size of the uterus growth and other thing, they will be undergoing a surgical treatment. So as a PT, our role is only like pre-operative and post-operative. We don't have much role. Okay, so other than this problem, the women may have some other problem like dysmenorrhea. So dysmenorrhea means painful menorrhea, or painful menstrual flow. Okay, so this can be because of hormones, and if the progesterone level is more compared to the other, then they may have this increased pain during their menstrual flow. So the treatment for this is they have to have a proper cyclic hormonal balance. So for this they can do aerobic exercises. Aerobic exercises will help them to control this kind of pain and other things. Okay, so aerobic exercises will help you to reduce this dysmenorrhea. But they have to undergo this aerobic regularly, and they have to do the exercises regularly, aerobic exercises regularly. Then other problem the women may have is pelvic pain, lower abdominal pain, back pain, then pain during defecation, pain on menstruation, pain on exercise, fatigue, general malaise, and sleeping disturbance. So these are some of the problems the the women may have. So according to the problem, you will be deciding to go with a conservative treatment or to a surgical treatment. So if the women have tried many other ways and if they are not able to control, then you have to go for a surgical treatment. Then the third problem is displacement and genital prolapse. So here, if you see the pelvic organs, we have three pelvic organs, that is the uterus, bladder, and the bowel, and all these three organs will be hanging in the uterus. hanging in the pelvic cavity, and with the help of the ligaments that is attaching these three organs will be just hanging in the pelvic organ, just like that, as if in a air. Okay, so if something is affecting their positions and if something is pushing them from that particular position, then we call it as displacement. So for example, the uterus have to be in this particular position, means it has to be in that position. If it is coming down, then we call it as displacement. Okay, sometimes this displacement may increase further and the pelvic floor will not be able to hold the particular uterus for longer time. So then it is called as displacement. Okay, so then they come down of the particular place, then it is called as displacement. Okay, so one is one that is prolapse. So first is displacement. So if it is coming down from its normal anatomical position, then we call it as displacement. So when this displacement will increase and if it is coming out of the particular place, then we call it as prolapse. Okay, so this prolapse is very common in case of women who are having many pregnancy. So if the women has if the women is prone, if the women has certain risk factors, then those women are more prone for this particular problem. So that's why whenever you meet a woman, if they have the risk factors, then you have to advise them. So for example, if they have more children and more normal deliveries, then they are more prone for this prolapse and displacement. Okay, this is because if the baby is keep on pushing the birth canal, and this birth canal will become little loose, and this will not be able to hold the pelvic organs in the particular position, so that it may drop down, and that is called as prolapse. Okay, so most of the time women are more affected by this prolapse compared to any other country. So one reason is having many pregnancies, many deliveries, that to larger babies have more chance. Then if they have, instead of normal delivery, if they have undergone an assisted pregnant delivery, then they have more chance for this kind of problem. Exactly. So these are the common things. And mainly this prolapse will not just happen in a single day. It will be happening in a period of phases. So as a PT, your role is to your role is to do lot of exercises and maintain the particular organ's posture in the particular position. If you don't maintain, then automatically it will lead to prolapse, and later it will end up in some surgeries or other things. Okay, so whenever the people are standing, they will feel as if something is heavy and something is protruding outside. Okay, so that is another way to find out whether they have any prolapse or displacement. Okay, so we have three organ, and based on the organ which is having displacement, we have three particular problem. So one is if there is any weakness of the anterior wall of pelvis. So if there is any weakness of anterior wall of pelvis, then there is more chance for weakness of pubocervical fascia, which will allow the bladder to descend down. So when the bladder is descending down, it will be pulling down the vaginal walls at the anterior side. So this is called as cystocele. So if they have the cystocele, then they will be having urination problem, more frequency of urination problem. They will not be able to hold the bladder for longer time. Is that clear? So that is called as cystocele. So in the anterior compartment, we have chances for cystoceles, that is weakness of the anterior wall of the vagina, which will lead to prolapse, and here the bladder will be coming down. So that is called as cystocele. Then the second one is where it is middle compartment, when the urethra will be falling down coming down from the particular position. So if the urethra is not in the particular position, then we call it as urethrocoel. Okay, sometimes you will be having a combination of bladder and the urethra, then we call it as cystourethrocoel. Is that clear? Then in the anterior wall there is chances of three things. One is the person will be the bladder will be descending down because of lack of support. This bladder will be descending down by the weakening of the anterior wall of vagina. Okay, then there is chances for a urethra to descend down. Then third is there is chances for the urethra and the cystocoel together. Is that clear? These are the three problems will occur in case if the person has anterior compartment prolapse. Next is middle compartment. You can see in the picture, this is the bladder, this is the uterus, and this is the rectum. So if you see, the anterior wall of the urethra will be slagging down. Can you see the slagging down? So the anterior wall of the urethra will be slagging down, and this will lead to displacement of the uterus and the urethra, and this is called as urethrocoel. Sorry, cystocoel. Okay, can you see here? Okay, this is your cystocoel. Then next is, in case if they have the middle compartment weakness. So if they have middle compartment weakness, then the middle part, that is the uterus part, will be descending down. And when the uterus part is descending down, then we so when the when the uterus is coming down, we have many stages of this uteral prolapse. Okay, suddenly the uterus will not come down and protrude. It has some stages. Okay, so here the middle compartment of the urethrocoel will be weaker. So here we have four stages. Okay, sorry, three stages of uterus prolapse. One is first degree, second degree, and third degree. So first degree is when the uterus is just lagging into the cervix, then we call it as first degree. So when the uterus is just lagging on slagging, then we call it as first degree. Second degree is when the cervix is descending to the vagina, we call it as second degree. Then the third degree is when the uterus and the vagina slag down till the edge of the vagina, then we call it as stage 3. Is that clear? So these are the three stages of descending. Okay, so you can easily see here. So in the first stage, the cervix will be just lagging down into the uterus. Sorry, the uterus is just lagging down into the vagina. So in the second stage, the vagina is reaching, the slagging down area is reaching till the opening. Then in the third stage, they are descended down to the outside. So outside, when you make the mother to be in crook lying, you will be able to observe this. So this is called as third stage. So mainly depends on the stage, they will be able to treat the person. If it is first stage, then they can cure it with exercise alone. If it is second and third stage, then they need to go for a surgical removal. So next is the third thing, that is posterior compartment. So posterior compartment is where you will be having rectum. So whenever there is weakness of the posterior compartment, then the rectum will be prolapsed down to the anus. So this is called as rectocoel. Okay, so the rectum will be protruded out through the anus, or it will be protruding in the anus. So it will be like the posterior compartment or posterior wall of the vagina will be slagging down. Okay, so that is called as posterior posterior compartment, or that is called as rectocele. Okay, so I will stop here before going into the PT management. So we will have 5 minutes of break. So the time is 3:20 now. We will meet you by 3:25. Okay, don't go out anywhere. Just stay tuned. Okay, can we start?
Yes, miss.
Okay. So previously we have seen like two problems, that is one is infection, where in the acute phase we don't have any PT treatment, only in the chronic, that too in pelvic inflammatory disease, we have a treatment role, otherwise we don't have any treatment role. Same like that for cyst, we don't have any direct role for that. In case if they have undergone any surgery, then we will be having pre-operative and post-operative role. Otherwise, we don't have any role in that also. In the third one, like we have a major role that we will be able to prevent this particular problem. So if we educate the women properly, then we will be able to prevent this problem. So in case if we are not able to prevent, then it will go into surgery. Then we will have a pre and post operative role. So most of the women, being a woman itself, vulnerable for this particular problem at the later age, maybe at the age of 50s or 60s, she will be prone for this kind of prolapse. So being a woman itself need to do some exercises to maintain the pelvic floor muscle strength so that it doesn't lead to this particular prolapse. But if the woman has children, then that too, if they have undergone a normal delivery and if they have many children, then if the woman is having some respiratory problem and she is having cough continuously, she will be coughing. Then if she has any undergone any other surgeries in the abdomen, all these are risk factors for this particular problem. Okay, so we need to give good awareness so that we are able to prevent it. So first is like we need to maintain the pelvic floor muscle strength. So that is a major thing. If the pelvic floor muscle strength is stronger, then the ligaments also will be stronger to hold the organs in that particular position. So we don't need to worry about at all. They will not have the prolapse. So if they have weaker pelvic floor muscle, then only they have a chance of this particular prolapse. So two things we have to give them awareness. One is you need to teach them good pelvic floor exercises and maintain the pelvic floor strength. Another thing is we need to teach them a good defecating technique, and they should not strain much for defecation. And they have to use a Indian style of toilet. If not, they have to modify the Western toilet in such a way that they are able to squat to 135-degree flexion. Okay, then they have to eat a proper fiber diet so that they don't have constipation and they will be able to defecate normally. Okay, so these are the two things we need to give. Another one is if they are prone for any chest infection, you need to teach them good splinted coughing, or you need to teach them coughing techniques so that they are able to avoid this cough. Is that clear? So these are the three things. One is good pelvic floor muscle strengthening, good diet and diet modification, good defecating technique, good pre-op and post-op antenatal exercises so that they don't have this pelvic floor problem. Okay, then next is if they have any chest infection, then teach them good chest clearing techniques and avoid obesity. Okay, so these are the things we need to give them awareness. So if they are able to prevent all these things, then they will be able to prevent the prolapse. In case if we are not able to prevent this prolapse, if they have If they have prolapse later, then depends on the stage, they will be going for surgical correction. So after that, we have to give pre-operative and post-operative. So other than the awareness, you can go for muscle re-education. That is nothing but pelvic floor muscle exercises using biofeedback or any other visual biofeedback technique. You will be able to give pelvic floor exercises that will help them to solve the problem. So in pelvic floor, we need to check. We can teach them how to check the pelvic floor muscle strength. So if they are able to stop the urination in between their passing, then that is called as midstream urine flow. So every woman, they will not be able to assess the pelvic floor muscle, but you can teach them how to test it. So whenever they are passing urination, they are supposed to go for try to stop the urine flow. If they're able to stop, then that means the pelvic floor muscles are stronger. If they're not able to stop, if their muscles are like only to able to slow down, then they have a moderate pelvic floor muscle weakness. If they are not able to stop or if they are not able to slow down, then definitely they have a severe weakness of pelvic floor muscle. Okay, so according to this pelvic floor muscle, you need to go for pelvic floor muscle strengthening. Next, so in case if the person is able to, so in case if you want to find out whether the prolapse is, whether they have prolapse or whether they have incontinence problem, then we can go for another checking that is called a Cyriax method of checking. Here you will ask the person to be in crook lying, then you will ask the person to take deep breath, then you ask the person to contract the muscle. If they are able to contract it, you can visually see them that whether they are able to contract, squeeze and contract the muscle, or if they have prolapse, you will be able to see the prolapse that is bulging out. So this is Cyriax method of examination. Okay, so these are the common problems and their PT role. Now we will see some other problems that will be affecting that will be commonly affecting the women throughout her life. Okay, so for most of the problems may have PT treatment and some of the problems may not have PT treatment. So these are the problems that will happen during that will happen during the reproductive age. That is like it may not be happening after the reproductive age, it will be happening during the reproductive age. So one is oligomenorrhea. Oligomenorrhea means the infrequent menstrual cycle. So normally the menstrual cycle have to be there at every month or have to be there after every 28 to 30 days. But instead of that, if the menstrual flow is happening after 35 days, then we call it as oligomenorrhea. That is infrequent urinary like uterine bleeding episodes. Okay, so instead of happening in every month, it will be happening once in 2 months or sometimes like once in 35 days or once in 40 days, like that. So that is called as oligomenorrhea. Then polymenorrhea is more frequent bleeding. Okay, so polymenorrhea is more frequent bleeding. So here more frequent bleeding, instead of every 28 days, if they get their menstrual flow before that, then it is called as polymenorrhea. So they may get once in 15 days or once in 20 days also. Okay, so menorrhagia is increased menstrual flow. So instead of normal flowers, they should have the bleeding for 3 to 5 days, and normally 3 to 5 pads they will be changing. So this is a normal bleeding flow. So if they are having more number of days or if they are using more number of pads, then we call it as menorrhagia. So menorrhagia means like increased menstrual flow. Then monarchy is onset of the menstruation. So normally it will be happening at the age of 13. So this is the stage where we say that all the reproductive organ are undergone maturation and it will be starting into the reproductive life. Okay, so that is called as monarchy. And primary amenorrhea means there is no menstrual flow. Okay, so amenorrhea means no menstrual flow. Oligomenorrhea means infrequent menstrual flow or delayed. Polymenorrhea means frequency of menstruation is very, very high. So amenorrhea means no menstrual flow. Okay, so amenorrhea means no menstrual flow. Are you able to hear my voice?
Yes, miss. But just a bit lagging sometimes. For me, I'm not sure others.
Okay. So
But overall is clear.
okay, amenorrhea means no menstrual flow. When this amenorrhea happens for the first time, that means we have some period like from the age of 13 to 15. If the girl has not undergone maturity, if the girl has not undergone puberty, then we call it as primary amenorrhea. Okay, so that means her first time menstrual cycle itself is getting delayed. So that is called as primary amenorrhea. So there may not be any reason for it. Sometimes they will be having it bit late. Like sometimes genetically also they will be having that thing. The father, mother or grandmother, they will be having a late monarchy or late puberty. Okay, so it is nothing normal as if they have not undergone that monarchy even after 18 years, then only they will check with the doctor. Otherwise, it is normal. Secondary amenorrhea means absence of menstruation after the puberty. So sometimes this will become infrequent and they may stop the menstrual cycle for more than 6 months. Then this is called as secondary amenorrhea. If it is in the middle of the reproductive age, then we consider this as a serious problem. But if it is happening after 45 years or 50 years, then we have to check whether they have the whether they are going towards the climacteric or we have to check whether their women is going towards the climacteric. Okay, so secondary amenorrhea can happen anytime in the life because of stress, because of emotional upset, because of sedentary lifestyle, because of obesity, and because of starvation. Okay, so this can happen anytime in their life. So they have to set all these problems. They have to avoid all these problems to have a normal menstrual flow. Okay, some of the other problems are dysmenorrhea. So dysmenorrhea means very painful during their menstrual cycle. So some women will not feel as if they are having a menstrual cycle. Some women will have it will be very painful and it will be very they need to go to a doctor to treat it, or they need to take a painkiller, or they need to take an injection, another thing to reduce the pain. Okay, this is again because of the hormonal imbalance. Okay, then this dysmenorrhea can be primary or can be spasmodic. Spasmodic means they may have a spasm kind of pain. That is called as spasmodic. Okay, so this as a PT, we will be able to give some TENS or any other thing to reduce the pain. So normally we can go with TENS. So this TENS will help them to reduce the problem. This is primary. Then next common problem is premenstrual tension. So normally every 28 days or 30 days once the mother will be women will be having this menstrual flow, but before the menstrual flow, before 1 or 2 days before the menstrual flow, they may have this premenstrual tension. So This is again more common at the age of 30 or above. So they will be feeling irritation, depression, sometimes back pain. They may have breast enlargement, tenderness, abdominal pain, insomnia, mood swing, and they may feel as if they are bloated little bit. So this is called as premenstrual tension. So every month before their menstrual cycle, they may have few of the features in this. So this is called as premenstrual tension. So this is a very normal thing to happen to any women. Okay, so as a PT, we don't have much treatment, but we can suggest them a good relaxation technique. Okay, we can ask them to reduce the salt intake so that the fluid retention will be reduced and they may be able to avoid the bloating of the body. You may ask them to go for small carbohydrate meal. You can advise them to take lot of fruits and vegetables. Okay, so uh, in this, if you see, like, they may have a lot of psychological issue, that is irritability, depression, insomnia, mood swing. All these are psychological issues. So for this, good relaxation technique will help them to reduce a lot. Then the bloating or the weight gain will be able to reduce by limiting the intake of salt. Okay. So other than that, the low back pain and abdominal pain you will be able to reduce by giving some TENS. Okay, so you can place the TENS over this area either in the posterior aspect or in the anterior aspect. So they will be having pain only in this region. So you can use TENS that will be helping them to reduce the problem. Is that clear? But you can advise them, this is quite normal to have all these symptoms for women to for any women. Then the last problem is PCOD. So nowadays, like, we have more like cancer, this PCOD is also increasing in number, especially in Malaysia. And this PCOD is nothing but a hormonal disturbance that is leading to ovulatory infertility. Okay, and this PCOD is like a cyclic problem. This is a syndrome. This is not a single disease. It's a syndrome, so it is a cyclic one. So either the problem will lead to obesity or obesity will lead to this particular problem. So it is like a cycle. Okay, so these people will be having a certain symptoms or certain signs like heteroism, acne, obesity, increased testosterone activity. Because of the increased testosterone activity, they will be having most of the male characteristic. Okay, so the voice will change, the body will change, the body mass will change, and a lot of changes will happen because of the increased testosterone activity, and they will be having an elevated LH concentration. So these are the certain problems, and uh, because of this problem they may have PCOD, or because of the PCOD they may have this particular problem. So this is like a cyclic problem. So this is menstrual disturbance that may cause a ovulation, or like that means like they may not have a proper or regular menstrual flow. They will be having a irregular menstrual flow, and even though if they have irregular menstrual flow also, they will not have a proper ovulation. Okay, so they may not have proper ovulation. So that is the main problem of this PCOD. And there is an underlying disorder to this particular problem. So sometimes the insulin resistance will lead to this particular issue. So like these people will be having hyperinsulinemia, that is the stimulating excessive ovarian androgen production, and this will lead to obesity. This will lead to more of carving towards carbohydrates or sweets, and this will lead to weight gain. Okay, so once they weight gain, automatically this will lead to PCOD. That's why I said it's like a cyclic process. So it will be keep on cycling. Okay, for this PCOD, a lot of research is there to support that regular aerobic exercises will help you to maintain the hormonal cycle in a normal way. And this normalizing the hormonal cycle will help you to reduce or break the cycle, and this will help you to have a normal ovulatory fertility. Okay, so that means normal ovulatory cycle will be there, and you will be able to break all these problems. Okay, so a lot of researchers are there to prove this, that aerobic exercises are helping them a lot. Then next is like psychosexual problem. So psychosexual problem, in that, like, one is psychological problem. Psychological problem is depression, anxiety, mood swing. This will be there in a women on and off. So you need to see how far they are affected. If they have affected more often, then you need to you need to give a lot of relaxation technique and help them to relax it. So you have to see whether the problem is because of their job or because of their environment. You have to give them a good counsel so that you are able to stop the psychological issue. Next is sexual issue. So sexual issue can be of can be because of two types. One is due to physical reason, another one is due to psychological reason. So psychological origin, if the women has any past worst experience, so if they have any sexual abuse, if they have any child sexual abuse, if they have seen any abnormal videos or abnormal problem in their family, in their past thing, they may have the psychology, or they may hate the sexual intercourse, or they may dislike the sexual intercourse. So this is psychological origin. So for psychological origin, you need to give them a counseling, you need to go for relaxation technique which will help them to solve the issue. Okay, then physical problem, this may be because of physical illness. So they may have a liking towards that, but because of their physical inability, they will not be able to, they will have problem, and they will not be able to uh, undergo this sexual, they will not be able to enjoy their sexual life. So physical illness may be because of any trauma during surgery. The vagina may be very small, and it may have a lot of scar tissue, and they may not have proper lubrication, and because of that the vagina will not swellen up. So they may have severe pain, and they may not have that pain will lead to disliking. Okay, physical illness, maybe if they are very weak, they will be tired, and they will not be able to enjoy their sexual life. Okay, then other thing is like because of drugs and other thing, they may not have the liking. For example, if they are having PCOS, and if they are taking a lot of hormonal pills, and this hormonal pills will lead to will reduce the libido, and this will lead to some problem. Then lot of steroids, when they are taking lot of steroids, this will reduce the libido, and this will lead to some problem. Okay, so according to the problem you have to see, and you according to that you can treat. So mainly the sexual dysfunction is because of three problems. One is any predisposing factors of the previous experience or previous life. Any predisposing factors, maybe it is physical or because of psychology. Physical, maybe they had some abuse, or they had some trauma, they had some severe pain, and because of that they don't like it. Then again you need to do them good counseling so that they are able to overcome it. Then second category is they have a precipitance, that is like the events may be associated with the initial problem. So maybe the partner need to change their style. Maybe the partner is mimicking the same previous worst experience. So all these things you need to counsel the partner so that he is able to change it, and the person is able to overcome it. Then third is maintaining factors, where why this dysfunction is persisting. So most of the time, why this dysfunction is persisting can be because of psychological issue, and physical because of the weakness in the pelvic floor. So first thing is, if they don't have a good pelvic floor muscle strength, then the women will not be able to like the or enjoy the sexual intercourse. So they need to have a good pelvic floor muscle strength, then only they will be able to enjoy the intercourse. Okay, so you need to increase their pelvic muscle strength by teaching them good pelvic floor exercises. Then uh, most of the time the women may not be reaching the orgasmic. So orgasm means the peak of a sexual intercourse. So this peaking, most of the women will not be able to reach this peak. So there are two reasons. One is either the partner is not able to help them to reach the peak, otherwise the women is having poor pelvic floor muscle power. Okay, so and most of the time, the women, it is not that every time whenever they undergo the sexual intercourse, the women will be reaching the peak. Most of the women will be reaching the peak only once or twice in her lifetime. Okay, so like you can advise women that it is not that every time they need to reach the peak. Okay, then if they are taking some medicines, especially steroids, then it will be leading to lack of libido. Then you can advise them to have a good foreplay to reduce this libido. They can have a good foreplay so that they can increase the lubrication. In case if they are not able to increase the lubrication, then they can go for artificial lubrications like oils or creams or any other thing, so that they will be able to have a good lubrication and will be able to enjoy the sexual intercourse. Okay. Then orgasmic dysfunction, maybe you need to check whether they have any other erotic problem, whether they have a good sensation over the perineum, whether they have a good circulation over the perineum. If they don't have good sensation and vascularity, they need to do good pelvic floor exercises that will help them to improve the things and will help them to reach the orgasm. Okay, so overall, our PT role will be to create awareness and to prevent the problem. So, to create awareness, like long term, the women need to maintain their physical fitness. They need to maintain the weight loss. Okay, so they need to maintain the physical fitness. That is very, very important. So apart from their physical activity, they need to do some kind of aerobic exercises at least 3 to 5 days in a week, so that they are able to maintain their fitness level. Then for relaxation technique, you need to teach them good relaxation technique so that they are able to keep themselves relaxed. Okay, so this is about the gynecology. This is just a general. In case if the women is undergoing a surgical treatment, then we will be seeing the surgical PT role in the next class. Basically, so this is a general role. Yes. Do you have any doubt? Okay. So next week we will see about the gynecological surgical part. Then after that, within 1 week, I will be able to complete the pelvic dysfunction. So mostly by next class I will be completing the surgical, that is on Wednesday. On by next week I will be able to complete all the portions. Okay, then later you can decide when we want to have the revision. Is that clear?
Okay, miss.
Okay, miss.
So if you don't have any other doubt, we will end the session. Okay, by 4 o'clock I have another meeting. So I have to rush. I'm sorry. So if you have any doubt, you WhatsApp me. Is that clear? Okay, thank you all.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you, Miss.